The month of March has been a tough one for CCIV, especially after the merger that really left a bitter taste in many people's mouth. If you've bought CCIV shares or considering about buying it, please keep watching this video until the end because we're going to talk about if you should buy its shares based on the current market conditions. Alright, so like many people, at one point in time, I bought in the narrative of CCIV, how it's going to merger with Lucid and everything is going to be wonderful. When it finally did confirm the merger with the EV startup, it seems like the reality is quite different from the one that we've been telling ourselves. Ultimately, the stock dropped to around a third compared to where it was at its peak and finally stabilized around $23. Before we talk about the market's opinion about CCIV now, it's important to look at two details. First of all, the valuation of CCIV is currently around $6 billion. In a way, this is a very humbling realization. I don't know about you, but my intuitions told me that it should have been higher, especially after so many videos on YouTube or so many posts on Reddit hyping about the merger, as if it's gonna literally shoot up beyond Milky Way galaxy and beating Tesla. I understand that the market cap is based on the current price only, which just took a massive hit after the merger. But if we really think about it, $6 billion of market cap is comparable to the valuation of Fisker at Nikola. This is really a harsh reality check after being called the next Tesla. To put things in perspective, at the moment, Lucid Motors is worth about 4 times less than XPeng and 10 times less than NIO. The company is in the same league as Nikola Motors, yes, the same Nikola Motors, the one that Trevor Milton drove into the ground, or shall I say rolled into the ground. The second aspect to look at is the volume of the shares trading. This is a secondary indication at best, but I think that it kind of sort of indicates the level of interest from the market about this stock. The current trading volume is around 12 million shares, which is comparable to the trading volume of Fisker. So with all that being said, I think that the market considers Lucid Motors as an EV startup like any other at this point, facing the same difficulties and enjoying the same opportunities. There is one major element that is in the favor of Lucid, however. Remember how we mentioned earlier on that its valuation is at $6 billion? Keep in mind that the month of March has been brutal for most growth stocks that took off since 2020. Now, just think about it. If the month of March didn't go below the support level that seems to be around $20, this should mean that it has to be a very significant psychological level for Lucid Motors, and that no matter what happens in the future, the market will probably not dump its shares below the current support that has been tested twice so far. But before we talk about the future, I want to address the past first. I think that the merger between CCIV and Lucid Motors has been an extreme example of expectations deflated by reality and the burst of the SPAC miracle since 2020. I've never seen any other stock being pushed like this one, with so many YouTubers bombarding the narrative that it will be the next Tesla, that it will only go up, and so on. A reputable financial news website even said that we should pounce on CCIV as soon as the merger is confirmed. This episode should serve as a lesson and a warning to us in terms of how much faith we should put in any trade, no matter how obvious it seemed at the time that the stock was going to take off. Those opinions that were given out as if they were set into stone were in fact what they were supposed to be, an opinion. In that case, I have to say I wasn't smarter than the rest of us. I was optimistic about the stock, very optimistic about the stock, and bought it when it was higher than the current price level. My only saving grace in the whole thing was the fact that I limited my stock to about 1% of my portfolio back then. When the stock price was at its peak, my position almost had a profit of 100%. I didn't sell it then, so now I'm also holding the bag. But here's why having a discipline when trading is so important. I was literally biting my fingernails off when the stock doubled from where I bought it. But I chose not to increase my position because I don't want to have my portfolio relying on this position itself. We have to remember that we should never, ever have one position that is so dominant in our portfolio that if it gets messy, it messes our entire portfolio. Now, let's look at the future. From the perspective of its price level and technical analysis, Lucid Motors is actually sitting on a price level that is quite reasonable. We just talked about the valuation that is similar to Nikola. The major difference is that Lucid is building its gigantic factory and will start the manufacturing process of its Lucid Air soon. The company had the backing of a sovereign fund, so it probably has legitimate projects behind the glossy presentations. And none of the chaos around its mergers with Cciv removes the promises of that vehicle itself. On that basis, I am reasonably optimistic about the stock price of Lucid Motors in the weeks to come. I would recommend to buy up to 2% of your portfolio in Cciv, with at least 50% of the allocation bought as soon as possible, because it is so close to a major support level. Thank you for watching. If you like my content, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel.